Hey everybody, welcome back. I know it's a little bit different today. My lighting is different. I'm in a different room. Oh my gosh. Welcome to our Mind Shift Mondays with me and Growth Coach D. He will be on in just a moment. He's finishing up with a client and I love to hear that he is helping people. And so tonight's topic, I'm just going to get it started because I'm not going to make you guys wait. And those watching the replay, isn't it like kind of frustrating when you go to watch the replay on somebody's live and they're making you wait and they're saying, ooh, we just gonna wait here for other people to come on. And because it's not live, you're waiting for nothing. What? So anyway, so welcome. I am Celeste Curry, the locksmith. And I help unlock you to release you into the life that you've always wanted. And so I'm super excited to be here. Now, this month is National Mental Health Month, but for men. Hello, EMT. Look at you. Growth Coach D will be on in a moment because you guys like to gang up on me when you join these lives. So, but you're usually pretty vocal. So Growth Coach D is going to be a couple minutes late. And I'm super excited because this is National Men's Mental Health Month, right? And so we were talking about, like, what are we going to talk about? There's so much. So many people are talking about depression, right? So many things. I wanted to see what would impact or how would affect Black men in America, because in the African American community, mental health therapy is seen as a sign of weakness, right? Personal weakness. Tell me what you think, but that's what's been said. And so I know that several celebrities, I don't know if you guys saw that video, it's been circulating around. They're sitting around a table, all these Black men talking about therapy. And one of them, my guy from All American, he was like, therapy is like, life has you in the boxing ring and you are, and they're just coming at you. Boom, 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 boom. Life is just coming at you. And then therapy is like, somebody grabbing you and, and stopping for the fight for a moment, having you sit down and start giving you all the feedback, what's right, what's wrong, what you can do better, how you can gain some relief. And then you're able to go back and deal with life. And so I thought that was really good. But one thing that I was looking at was talking about how the reason why Black men don't trust therapy is because they have a distrust in the medical community. So I would love to hear what you guys think about that. And Growth Coach D is going to get on here in just a moment. So it'll be a little bit controversial, maybe not as much as some of our lives, but we didn't want the month to go without us really hitting that. But what do you think? Some of you that are on here on EMT 1970, what do you think? Have you ever gone? Just ask you, have you ever gone to therapy, anybody? If you have, even if you're watching the replay, if you've gone to therapy and you had a great experience or not a great experience, please put it in there. Because I tell people, therapy is amazing. All therapists are not created equal. So I would say for all my men that are considering therapy, I want you to know that it is like a marriage. So you wouldn't just jump into a marriage, right? So don't just jump into something with a therapist. How about interviewing that therapist? Find out if your belief systems line up, because sometimes they just don't. And some therapists don't know how to separate their own belief systems from their clients. Some do. A lot of us great therapists do, but some don't. And so they already have a preconceived notion about what's right. So now, even to start, hello, Gregski. So to start on just even the topic of, we're talking about National Men's Mental Health Month, right? We talk about a lot of controversial stuff on here on Mind Shift Mondays to help your mind shift and prayerfully be able to get you through the week successfully. But I was reading something and it was talking about how you guys as black men are, okay, there we go. Okay. But it was talking about how black men don't go to therapy because they have a distrust for the medical community. Tell me, hello, Coach D,
Hey,
you're here.
we're here. We're a few minutes late, but we're here. I don't know how long you've been on.
That's okay. I've been holding it down. I was just kind of about this whole National Men's Mental Health Month that we are going to be talking about. But one of the things that I found was very interesting, which doesn't shock me, is that some men have been talking about how they have a distrust for the medical community. The reason why they don't really want to go to therapy. So I want to see what you thought about that. I have my own ideas. I'm not a man, but I have my own ideas as to why that probably is true for some people. But you are looking at me crazy, so please, please, please. What do you think about that? Like, why? First of all, why aren't y'all a lot of black men going to therapy? Some have started, but a lot still won't go. Even women in our community, because unfortunately it's seen as a sign of weakness. But I really, really, really want to hear why aren't y'all going?
You trying to put me on the spot?
I'm just saying you represent, because by the end of this live, my prayer is that even if one person can go, we can change generations.
All right, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
So your question, just so that I'm clear, is why is the distrust that we have of the medical community linked to us not going to therapy? That's what the question is?
For a correlation. Yes.
I don't know that most of us see mental health as medical, to be honest with you.
Well, I think when they used the word medical, they were trying to use it in a broad term. Like,
Okay.
have a trust in the well, not that therapists wear white coats, but they kind of don't have a trust for just the medical profession as a whole, including mental health.
But let's go back to that word trust. And Greg is saying here, I don't think so. It has a lot to do with time, money, believe it or not. So
Okay.
you know, we receive that. It's definitely a lot of people that I know that are in these tough economic times that are tight, and therapy does cost,
It does.
especially if you're gonna get somebody good.
Right.
And a lot of the best people don't take insurance, and
Yeah, some
some,
don't,
some
but
and so it can be a financial thing. I would say though, when it comes to mental health, I think, well, let me backtrack. You mentioned the word trust.
okay. I know.
That's an important word for us to talk about,
Yeah.
especially as
Interesting, Greg. See, I look to tackling what you just said. Go ahead, Danny.
yeah, that's true. That's
Oh,
true. Sometimes work is therapy.
yeah, we'll see.
Well, no, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's our escape from reality, and that's not. I'm gonna have to come back to that.
Yes.
Um, but when it comes to trust, is there any reason why a black man, particularly in America, would have trust issues?
Yes, sir. I'm not a black man, but when I say I can mention names and incidences going way back all the way to the present.
And it's not even about any one thing. I think it's almost a human condition, but by and large, I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna say it. I think we're ignorant.
Interesting. And please define ignorant.
The definition that I'll give of ignorance is not knowing something that is critically important to your well-being.
I I, I feel you. And it's interesting because there's so much in history, whether it happened to us personally, we read about it, or we know of people that it happened to. I mean, George Floyd, come on, that makes us not really trust the authorities. Then we go all the way back to Tuskegee. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we've been guinea pigs, and now we're told I have your answer. So I get it, black men. If you have a distrust for the professions that seem to be quote unquote lifesavers, but they have failed you. Like, that's deep. Like, for Black women, it's a little bit different. Black women are celebrated, right, for mental health, you know, taking care of ourselves mentally, and even going to the doctor. We're celebrated, right? And Black men don't quite get that. There's not enough talk about it. That's why I'm so happy for the Black men celebrities that are speaking out this month. I've been super excited about that. But I'm telling you, when you get a good there, let me tell you, I have a client, of course I can never say names, but that came to me with major depression a few months ago. When I say major, like suicidal, Black man, strong Black man that decided, I'm gonna take my life, or I'm gonna have to. And he was actually the last client I was accepting, and I was like, dog, I ended up getting one that was getting ready to jump off the cliff, right? All these not easy clients, but just not that. When I tell you I love him, he's one of my favorite now. But to see him grow and to see him work in therapy, because it's a good fit. You got to get somebody that's a good fit. Now, real non-traditional, though. You know me, I'm definitely real non-traditional. But to see this man work and overcome all the adversities that Black men go through.
Now, you use the phrase, though. You use the phrase strong Black man. What is that?
So what I mean by that is, I'm trying to dismiss this whole idea that it's personal weakness if you come to therapy as a Black man. So when I say strong Black man, I mean he is, I ain't trying to say nothing about gay people, but he's straight, fully straight, okay, as an arrow. He is he is not weak in any way. Like, he didn't present as that. He literally just had some breakdowns in his mind that were causing him to filter a lot of his thoughts. Hi, Simone. To filter a lot of his thoughts through some deep darkness, deep darkness, where it was retraining his mind. His mind was no longer wired for love. You know, we're originally wired for love, but he's not wired for, he wasn't wired for love when he got to me at all. And now you should hear that, brother. I mean, now we had to do therapy twice a week, and I was down for it. He was like, I'm just going to need it like twice. I'm like, let's do it. And in 2 months, when I tell you the turnaround.
So here's what is so important, because I use the word to describe. I use the word ignorant, right? And it's because we often aren't exposed to those stories and seeing the transformation. We don't know. We legitimately don't know. Why I use that word is we don't know. A lot of men, especially in my demographic, they don't know the importance of a colonoscopy. They just don't know. Some of them are like, yeah, I'm just not going. A lot of them just don't know. We just don't know. We have not received the same education for these things that matter.
Yeah.
And there has to be a shift in order for there to be any changes that take place. But in the context of Men's Mental Health, so Health Awareness Month, it takes men speaking out. It also takes the display of a transformation that takes place. So, like, if you think about a movie, for instance, usually predictable movie, you have the protagonist, the hero, you know, they're kind of scrawny in the beginning of the movie, and then, you know, the equivalent of Mr. Miyagi comes and they wax on and they wax off, and next thing you know, they're getting a big physique and Creed, you know, and they're ready to fight and beat the big guy up, and you can see a transformation. And so when it comes to therapy, you're really dealing with the internals. We're used to seeing a transformation for the externals. And so when you use the word strong Black man, I'm picturing in my mind, of physique. And why I asked what you defined as a strong black man is because I'm saying strength has nothing to do with the size of their muscles, has nothing to do with whether or not they're stature, but like really at the core, the root and the core, the inner man. This is where strength
That's
is really.
it. And
And
oftentimes is not whether or not I got it, as opposed to even whether or not I will reach. Because you see what I'm saying? Like for him, strength was him reaching out. That was strength. He couldn't, he had none. Like it was bad. But that is such strength. Like I respect men when they can say, I need help.
but see, here's the thing. We haven't defined that as strength. It is, but we haven't defined it. It's the greatest measure of strength. Based on what the research and what we know, if it's one thing a man doesn't want to be perceived as, it's weak. And in being vulnerable, culturally speaking, we see somebody talking about their feelings as weak, going to sit on somebody's couch and talking about why you a little acting like a little.
Is that
You insert blank. There's all kind of words that we could use. But the idea is that we should have it within ourselves to just do it by ourselves.
right?
And that's true.
That
It's a lie. It's a lie.
there. Let me tell you, you can self-destruct very quickly, believing that you just got it all. Because the same thinking that got you in, that's all you have to try to get you out. Like, come on, and so this whole idea of not really trusting, if we just deal with that, because you can be vulnerable with wisdom and gain a lot of strength. Like, and I did want to make sure we got to, like Greg said, it's really all a byproduct or side effect of slavery. Interesting. What do you think about that, Danny?
I think that's one of those. That's hard to answer. That's an agree disagree for me. Uh, I Why I say agree is, I mean, you can't ignore the history. All right, and looking at the trajectory, but at the same time, I'm just a big believer in taking responsibility for where we are now. And in my life and in my practice, I'm always in victor mind, uh, the frame of mind of a victor instead of a victim. And so not thinking about, oh, if they hadn't done this, then I wouldn't be like that. And so that's where I typically, I'm like, I think that we can be more solution oriented.
Okay. I respect
As
that. And then much from slavery that we got that shows strength. Some other people would have never made it. They just would not have ever made it. And when you think about Harriet Tubman, that sister, as many times as she came back to get people, she was already free. When you really think about that, she was already free when she kept coming back. Like there's so many. Yes, they broke us down like during therapy, the mind, because when you get to the mind, you get to anything. But you're right. We don't ever have to stay there. Those are just points where we can say it happened.
mm-hmm.
But where we are today and where we can be really shows our great strength. So,
Mm-hmm.
but all the men on here, I just want to tell you guys, I love men. And I mean that from a real place. Like when I see a man, like even come in for therapy, when I tell you I lift them up so fast, and the respect that I have for for all men, black, white, pink, blue, but a black man that lives as a victor and not a victim, what?
Mm-hmm. Because it's powerful to write a new narrative, and on MindSHIFT Monday,
On my
about. You know, it's about recognizing the power that we have to shift our mind, shift our thoughts, and to change every aspect of our lives. We cannot come on here and talk to you guys and make you believe that you stuck where you are. It doesn't matter what happened to you. It doesn't matter what happened to you. And I know our focus is on men, but I see you, Simone, saying me too, you know, and everybody, it's the human condition. But it's important for us to recognize that even when it comes to something just as fundamental as pain, I said this once before, at least once before, but I once was in a seminar with Dr. Henry Cloud, and he pointed out how God could have put our tear ducts underneath our armpits. You know, he could have. He could have put our tear ducts under our armpits. We leak fluids from there too.
Yeah.
He, he
Yeah.
there. Why didn't he though? Right?
Mm.
He put them where? In front of our faces. Why? Because our tears are meant to be seen. Healing happens when our pain is shared with people who've earned the right to know
Good.
our struggles, to hear our stories, to walk with us through healing from our past pain. This is why therapy is so important, because you got safe space. Nobody's gonna be clowning you. Nobody's gonna be you know, calling you names. It's simply safe space. And that phrase, people who've earned the right to know, to hear, to walk with you. Sometimes you got to pay somebody. Sometimes
Lord.
you got to pay the money. You invest in every other area of your life. Why not this one? Because you're going to go plumb crazy trying to keep all of that stuff inside. Stress relief when those tears come out. You're bottling up. I call it emotional constipation.
It is.
We know what happens when we have physical constipation.
Yeah.
But emotional constipation is just as unhealthy.
It is.
It
Remember, and the other thing I want all my men to get, some of the the physical issues that plague our African American men are because of the emotional constipation. 90 to 95% of all illness, physical illness, has an emotional root cause. So my Black men, any prostate issues, I'm just going to tell you, is due to the emotional constipation linked to unresolved issues in relationships. And I know y'all like, what? Yeah. So when relationships end, or you kind of move forward, move on, even mommy, daddy stuff, you oftentimes think that the woman is the only one that's kind of left with the feelings and the thoughts and the right, even though you know you're hurting too.
yeah.
But you really stop to kind of mend before you really move forward. You just hoping you get in another situation, the other girl's just different. Well, the truth is that your prostate is taking note. And I remember when I went to school for natural health, again, I mentioned this on live before, we were told that if you tell a man that his heart is going to stop, that has all these physical issues, he won't do much about it. But you tell him that down there won't work anymore. He's like, what all I need to be doing? How much it's going to cost? I don't care how much it's going to cost. Right? So I'm just going to tell you, if you don't release the things, all the emotions, become vulnerable, like Danny, like you've been saying, just to go ahead and find a safe place, a safe person, release that, your prostate is taking note. And I know y'all want to be able to use it forever. So you might as well. And my mother always had what she called the dish rag theory. Y'all better get those emotions together so you don't end up like a dish rag. That's from Mary Beard. That's from my mommy. So I know that was kind of interesting, okay? But I'm just saying,
Somebody put dish rag in the chat. Put dish rag.
dish rag in the chat. My mommy said it. So I want you guys, if you want that, you want all your organs to be working down there when you get 80 and 85 and 90 years old, I need you to take care of your emotions. That means you got to see somebody. And Greg pointed out a good point. He's like, money, time can be an issue. Now, time, I'm going to ask you to make time, because every moment of the day, even while you're asleep, something is brewing, something's being created, whether your cells are changing to abnormal, whether, you know what I'm saying, whether your subconscious mind is replaying all of the hurt, something's going on. Make the time and make you important, because if your leg wasn't working when you got up in the morning, you will find yourself at a doctor. So let's not ignore this. And this is our love. I want our men tomorrow. That's right, Simone. I want our men tomorrow to call and see who you can get to talk to.
Yeah, I think that that's a good call to action is maybe what you can do, because I hear a lot of people say that, but nobody tells you how. Nobody tells you where to go, how to start.
Very good
What
question.
what
And
makes, how do you know you found somebody good? Like, because we don't know. Our fairer skinned cousins, they've got a whole network, and they'll ask, hey, who do you, okay, all right, and they know somebody who knows somebody, and they get in. But what, for somebody who's never been, who doesn't know, can you provide a roadmap?
I can. So number one, I get asked this particular question that I'm getting ready to say a lot. Should I choose a man or a woman? I think it depends on the issues that you have. I really do.
Break that down.
So I personally, if there is somebody that has daddy issues, I personally think that they're going to grow just a little bit faster, as long as they're strong enough for it, to be with a man. If you got mommy issues, I'm going to ask you to be with the woman, because that's going to put you face to face with someone that represents that.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if dad wasn't supportive, if dad never showed up, and this therapist, this male therapist shows up for you, now you start to challenge some of that thinking. I think there are times where people have daddy issues where they need women, but generally, I'm speaking most of the time, if you have daddy issues, I will put you with a man. If you have mommy issues, I put you with a woman. The other thing is, I do recommend that Black people go to Black people.
Interesting.
Yeah, because what I found is that some of my Caucasian colleagues haven't can sometimes be intimidated by a Black man, and they will support the Black man in staying stuck, even though that's not their goal, but they don't feel comfortable challenging him. And generally, we don't see much change in therapy unless you have a confrontational therapist, a therapist that will confront and push you. And oftentimes, Caucasian, I know one that can do everything, and that's Dr. Jack Farrar. I don't think he's taking anybody, but he trained me a long time ago. Dr. Jack Farrar can see Black people, white people.
See, I gotta throw. I was waiting for you to finish, but I gotta throw one into my therapist. Craig. He's a rare gem. When I first saw him, I'm not even gonna lie, I judged him.
Mm.
I judged him. He was, older. He might have been mid-50s, balding. I don't want to describe him in any way, but I mean, he is who he is. But when you look at him, it's just like, how's he gonna help me? But it was a referral. It was a friend of a friend told me, yo, maybe go check out my therapist, Craig. And so I made an appointment. And the thing about getting an appointment with Craig, let me tell you something. He was booked out for months. You hear me? Months.
Oh yeah.
There was no availability. I literally had to book something like months, like 4 months, and he had nothing. And so I would just call, and I befriended the front desk reception people, and they knew me. It was like, hey, how you doing, Diane? Hey, I'm just checking to see if you had any cancellations, and no, we didn't get any today. All right, I'll call you again in 2 days. And so then they got used to.
Somebody put in the chat persistence. You need to be persistent when it comes to your health. Persistence. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, and so I would just keep reaching out. And then it got to the point where they were reaching out to me. Hey, Mr. West, I just want to let you know we had a cancellation. Can you make Tuesday at 2 p.m.? I'll be there.
I love it.
I'll be there. And so And I have never had a therapist as good as Craig. Craig was on another level. One exception would be Sean McBride. Sean McBride he was different. We first started interacting with him in a marital sense, and then I, you know, came to have a. It's weird. It's like a coaching mentor relationship, but I had to come in and throw. You mentioned a guy, and I got Craig.
I wish that I could mention who I want to mention. I'm going to mention him, but he's not seeing anybody.
Okay.
He's who's seen all my children. I love him. He's a friend of mine. That doggone Gary James. What?
Mm-hmm.
But Gary, he's not taking anybody else. I have what I call my two Garys. My other Gary is Gary Bird. He's with High Impact Training and Counseling. And when I tell you Gary, so they're my two Garys. If I had anything going on in life, I call one.
Mm-hmm.
They get me right. And I love it. They don't throw sunshine up my...
Wait. But you're a whole therapist yourself. Why do you need to go to a therapist too? But you already know the practice. You already know the stuff. Like
Yeah, absolutely. No. Just like a doctor needs a doctor, therapist needs a therapist. And I have my two Garys on hand. Like, we're friends, but they are counselors. They are when I tell you the best, breaking down the brain, breaking down how you're wired, breaking down, and when I say with love, and they will push me until I change. They won't let me get in any stinking thinking. It's like, what do you, they're going to ask me the question that's going to make me say, yeah, that don't make sense.
So I got a question for you now. The question I have for you is pertaining to how do I phrase this question? I'll just I'll talk it out. You have the people who in your field. I've been to enough counselors and therapists to know that not all of them are good.
Truth. Facts.
Let me say that. And I would encourage you to, as my best friend says, who is a therapist, he said, date your therapist. You gotta date them.
That's what I said. You gotta interview them. It's like a marriage.
Yeah, and even beyond the interview, like, you can be with them for a period of time and they might take you but so far, and then you realize, okay, I think I've outgrown my therapist. I think that this is as far as they can take me. And so then you invest in finding somebody else who's equipped with the skill set. But I wanted to ask you, Celeste, because I've had enough experience in counseling and therapy and with my friends who are therapists, to know that the modern practice isn't usually to push people into action. It's more so validating where you are and what you feel. And that's a great question, Greg. I'm gonna come to that in a minute. But it's I know that my friend Keith, and I wish he was here. Maybe we could have him on a live one time. He's like, I break all the rules. I'm not doing what it is they're trying to get us to do is to just walk in and just hear people out and make them feel warm and fuzzy and walk out. And it's just like, I haven't serviced them. Like, I can't do that.
Oh, that's not who I am. I call myself a non-traditional therapist.
Yes, you do. Because traditional therapy is just, it's not as simplistic as how does that make you feel, but it's not far off. You know, that they're just simply, okay, wherever you are. And I got to say this because I had a conversation in the last 48 hours with somebody, and they were commenting on how their significant other won't go to therapy. And it was a woman. And I know the focus is on men, but I think both genders kind of have this challenge, this difficulty. They would only go to see someone who was going to validate their position.
I don't even want somebody that, I don't even want friends like that.
Come on, say that again.
I don't even want friends at all.
Say that again. Like,
yeah.
let's normalize that.
Yeah.
If if you're only going to people who are going to tell you what you want to hear, and that's not the purpose of therapy. Like, one,
not the purpose of human
yeah,
existence. Like,
yeah.
if we're not going to grow, why are we here?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, no, not at all. And another thing, you were saying something that I definitely wanted to bring out, that to make sure that everybody heard it, that you were talking about persistence, but there was another thing you talked about. It'll come back to me, about choosing a therapist. But I'm telling y'all, listen, you got to go. This is National Men's Mental Health Month. Now, Greg had a question: is there a difference in religious therapists or other, or do you all include God? So let me tell you, I am not what you call a Christian therapist. I am a therapist that believes. So I was very intentional about not going to do that piece or be even seen as a Christian therapist. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I need you to understand, godly counsel does not mean that I have to use scriptures all over everything. Okay. So, and what I do, I think, is probably, I don't usually say things like this, more effective than the title of Christian therapist in leading people into the kingdom. So my clients come in, they don't know what I believe. I never push my beliefs. I start to
Explore.
explore where they are. I know that their answer is resting in God.
Mm-hmm.
But if they believe in God by the end, just like I have some clients that came in saying they didn't believe. Now, guess what they're saying? Man, God set this thing up for me all along. And I never mention one scripture. It's when I know that I have your answer and I've tried it and it worked. Now you want to hear about what it is too. And so, to answer your question, Greg, for me as a therapist, I include God, even with those that don't believe in him, because he believes in them. So then I just kind of take them on a journey, and they come on that journey with me because they trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not invasive.
So can I jump in there? I want to say that I know that I know some people who don't want a Christian therapist. I know some people who will say,
Oh, a lot of them.
I don't want to put people on blast who are family members or close friends, but sometimes you don't want somebody to tell you, okay, well, let's pray about that.
Right?
And,
Yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, no, I ain't got no answers for you. We're going to pray on that. And it's like,
you know,
can you Bible did that?
yeah, God is good, yes, but all the time, that's not the response I needed in therapy. And so sometimes the frame of people who are Christian or you know is so heavenly minded it's no earthly good. And not to say that there's merit, because honestly, so going back to my therapist Craig, I didn't know he was a Christian. I don't know I don't know when he found out I was a Christian, but I went because I heard that he was good at what he does. And as we continued our dialogue and conversation, I found out this man used to be a whole pastor, and he was so well versed in the word. And so when I used a reference, he was right there connecting it to stuff that I needed. And it was just like, huh, huh, huh. And it was a whole experience. And I'm telling you, like, you can't judge a book by its cover. That's all I'm
And
trying
my
to say.
thing is, just because I don't have Jesus on my sleeves, don't mean what? Like, I don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Greg said excellent, because I wouldn't go to the religious one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cultivate Day Spa did a little check on that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that we do have to wrap this up. This is such a good discussion. My prayer is that the men on here and the women would understand that your worth was solidified at the cross, like for real. It was actually solidified before the foundation of the world. If in the Bible they talk about godly counsel, and when they want to talk about godly counsel, they use parables oftentimes and not even scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, there was a man that was such and such, you know, and David is like, that man should be killed. And it's like, that man is you. Like, he didn't use any scriptures. He didn't use, like, godly counsel doesn't have to have scriptures all over it. And there's nothing wrong with scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
But people will see God sometimes in people that do not ever bring out the script. I don't bring out the scriptures first. Like after I know that they are open, I might throw in something that will confirm something for them.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to see God before I'm throwing stuff at them. And then I never convert over to, ooh, now they believe, let's just do Bible study.
Yeah, no.
I feel led to do that.
Mm-mm.
So what would you say? Go ahead. You look like you want to say before we close out.
What was your question?
No, I was going to say, what would you say, as this is National Men's Mental Health Month, what would you say to some of the men? Because I'm grateful that you shared tonight that Craig is your therapist, and Craig has been a great therapist, helping you a lot. And that was the thing. And he came by referral. You guys, if you can get a referral, great. Because you know somebody that's already had a great experience. If not, don't feel bad if the first person ain't
It's like dating. Like you wouldn't give up on dating because, oh no, she didn't we didn't have a connection. Okay, so and you never gonna date ever again. So treat your man like you would a car, because if your car is broke, you're gonna find a mechanic, and if that mechanic can't fix it, you're gonna find, if your HVAC unit is broke and it's starting to get cold outside, you're not gonna say, oh, it's broke, I couldn't find somebody who could fix it. Come on, man. Nah, we got to prioritize our mental health to the point where we keep getting new expertise until the problems get solved, until the heart begins to grow more and more whole, and reversing the state of brokenness. God, if he restores, David said he restores my soul. If we're not living and walking in that, what are you doing? Like, it's time for us to stop playing with our health in general, but that includes and is not limited to our mental health and well-being. And if you're keeping stuff bottled up on the inside, bruh, you're gonna explode. It's a matter of time. And this is the reason why we have all of these crazy headlines in the news, because people have been keeping stuff pent up. You know, wonder why, you wonder how, you wonder, man, they went crazy. Yeah, because that's what happens when you keep stuff. It's not meant to be on the inside of you. You're meant to be able to share.
Tears, God didn't make those tears come out under our arms, not in our face where they could be seen.
That's it. That's healing happens when our pain is seen. Yeah. We are connected with those who've earned the right to know our stories, to experience and hear our struggles. Everybody struggles. Yeah. I don't care. It seems like you looking at somebody's Instagram page. Man, let me tell you this. I was talking to somebody, and I'll just say this, because I was running a marriage group, and I was around this couple, and I said, oh, yo, I got this M Squad, couples fighting together for love that lasts forever. You know, just throwing it out there. If you guys want to maybe come and check it out. And never heard anything. Later, I had a conversation, and I'm hearing that they're pretty much done. Like, but when you see them, everything looks fine.
Yeah.
And there's documents that are there without a miracle. They're coming to the end of the road. Not to go Boys to Men. And keeping it bottled up on the inside is not a solution that should ever be an option for any of us. Yeah. I just want to encourage people to come out from behind the fig leaf. It is not, it's not comfortable to share, especially when you haven't grown up around it, when you've never done it. But it's necessary. It's necessary. It's necessary to get healed.
Yes, it is.
Be whole. Because if you're whole, how much more good can you do? If you're whole, how much more productive can you be? If you're whole, how many more people can you help make whole?
Yeah. And then, and the thing is that I know that we can't really delve into this tonight because we've been going for so long, but I just want to say this. Sometimes people don't understand that they're broken because they have normalized their brokenness. But I'm telling you, if things are shattering around you, you are broken. It's not the other things, it's not the other people. While they may contribute, but if you hear the same thing from more than one person, you might want to take note of it. If you have an issue with communication, I know we talked briefly about Dr. Gottman and the four horsemen on another one. We didn't go into it big time, but if you have any of those horsemen, stonewalling, where you can walk around and not talk to people, or criticism, contempt and defensiveness, if you have any of those, you're broken. How do you know that you're not whole? You're not. And so please reach out to someone. Path Mental Health is another one that you can call. Better Help, but I'm sorry. That's just it's my personal opinion. I'm sorry. But Path Mental Health is pretty good, has some good therapists. Read the bios. Read the bios. And then after the bios, talk to like 3 therapists before you decide on one. But that's what I have to say for tonight. But I'm just excited that we are celebrating men this month. And we want to celebrate you not because you're a man, but because you have the strength to reach out to say, I want to be better and I want to be whole. That's what I say for tonight.
That's good. Remember, Mind Shift Monday is all about the power that we have to shift. What are we shifting? What are we shifting? We're shifting our mind. We're shifting our thoughts.
Yes.
As we shift here,
Yeah.
we can everything else out there, but it starts
Yes.
here. Every act of a man springs from the hidden seeds of thought.
Yes.
So we just want to encourage you
Yes.
to get a healthy thought life going.
Get,
What?
get a healthy thought life going.
Mm-hmm.
And then that thought life can get on autopilot and begin to nourish every cell in your body. And when I tell you, everything that you need and desire will come running to you because your thought patterns are healthy and they line up. So, but we love you guys. We do. I think I speak for both of us, right, Danny? And we want to see you whole. So we'll see you here again. Tell everybody about our Mind Shift Mondays at 6 p.m. every Monday. And we look forward to seeing you guys. Anything else you want to say, Growth Coach D?
I would just say, hey, if you have questions, topics, points, put them in the chat. I don't always do a good job of looking at them in a timely fashion, but we do come back and look at them. Very interested to hear. Yeah, very interested to hear what resonated the most with you. So put in, if something resonated with you, just let us know what that is so that we know and can continue to be mindful of that. Maybe dive a little deeper in those areas. So that's it. That's all I'll say. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next Monday.
All right. Thank you, guys.